Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your reveling, tranquil hosts. Joining me, as always, is our other reveling and tranquil host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always.
Hi, Andy. Happy
Hello.
Monday.
Yes, and to you. I, I'm like looking at that now, like reveling's an active thing. I don't know whether that's,
Reveling. Yeah, well, it's an action or
it
it's
is an
a
action. Reveled? Like, is that, can you revel in the past? I reveled at that party. I mean,
no.
yeah, no, not. All
You would
right.
have not. I mean, yeah, you can, but you wouldn't have had a very good time.
That's true.
I was totally reveled at that
Oh
party.
man, I reveled the
You
shit
just
out of
made
that
up a
party.
whole new like slang word.
Yeah, the kids are gonna love
Spread
it.
it. The kids are gonna it's gonna be off the chain.
Oh, those kids and their crazy language. Um, but yeah, so Beth, what's the crack with you this week?
Um, I'm still single parenting.
Mm-hmm. Living that single parent dream.
Living it that life. I so this is terrible, but I've
Uh-huh.
started just like surreptitiously putting in earbuds and
Mm-hmm.
then like going about my day, but I have like something playing, some movie playing, and like
Yeah.
I'm still interacting, but
I
they don't know that I'm actually watching a movie as I'm parenting because I just need a fucking break.
I know other parents that do exactly the same thing. My friend's like basically always got like he's got all the sort of TV apps on his phone and he's
Yeah,
always got something on in one
yeah,
corner like of the room,
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
I get
Where
it.
yeah. So but my daughter won an award.
Ooh,
She was student of the month
nice. Good for her.
for
Congratulations.
honesty. I know, for honesty. So that
Nice.
makes me feel good, right?
That's good.
Um, and it's like it was cute because they email you like at the beginning of the week. So you have the secret as a parent, like you know that your kid is going to get called up, and they have this. It's California and it's so warm. They don't have an like a giant auditorium. They have all of
Hmm.
their like uh big meetings and like all class assemblies outside.
Nice.
So like dropped them off at school and then they don't know they're winning the award and then they get called up and so it was exciting and then like but she saw that I was there and she was like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I love you. I can't say. And she was like, she was like, was it Charlie or was it me? I didn't know. And like, and then they have this little reception and you go and you eat like chocolate muffins and
Oh,
drink Capri
nice.
Suns. And yeah, so it's just as a parent, like it feels good when your kid is, thriving.
Absolutely. That's good.
So,
I'm really happy to hear it. That's awesome.
so
Congratulations to her.
maybe we'll have a podcaster of the month, and you and I,
Yeah, we
one of
get
us will win, and maybe we'll let the listeners decide.
we'll cycle through it. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we'll alternate because we're nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we'll not create a bit of rivalry as a result, and we'll not get
Right,
angry with
right,
each other. Definitely not.
right. So, what's the crack with you?
Um, you know, um, alive and hating it. The usual,
Yeah.
the usual
Mhm,
Andy
mhm.
thing.
Alive and hating it.
I am just busy, 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 like so crazy busy at the minute. It's insane. So I haven't had a ton of time to do much of note, sadly, other than work, work, work. But that's coming to an end soon, so that's the crack, which is nice, Well, hopefully next
I
week
have a
should be a lot
less.
less. Should be an
Yes.
easy street, just coasting into, amazing stress-free Christmas.
Right.
Right? Yeah. So.
Um, it's weird, like to follow up on last week's episode. So this will air in the new year and it won't
Yeah.
matter, but like there's been homicides here.
Oh,
We're a
really?
town where crime doesn't happen. Yeah, like road rage. People are like almost every day someone has died on one of the two highways. So it's just
Oh,
like, and
wow.
everyone's like, what is going on in our town? I'm like, it's the fucking holidays.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
everyone just needs to chill out. So it's sad, but like there was another one yesterday. I was just like, because someone jaywalked. Do you know what jaywalking
Yes,
is?
yes.
Okay. And got hit by and died like
Wow.
bad. Yeah. So
You
um
know that that's not illegal over here. Did you know that?
to jaywalk. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not Yeah, no, my sister got a
I think
ticket
you can get
for
fined for it. Yeah, because
jaywalking.
I've known friends who got fined over in the US
Mm.
and Australia as well.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Mm. Can't go to Australia then.
No. And they are, yeah, they get a bit
Uh,
hard. I had a friend who was
uh,
just like cockily walking across the road, and I was with him, and I just saw a
uh.
policeman walking right over to him, and he was like, "Whoa, no!" and got a fine, and it was not like it was a decent fine too, you know.
My sister was dressed up as Santa Claus.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what SantaCon is? Do you guys have SantaCon?
We do not, but I have heard of it.
Okay, so SantaCon is where for the kids,
Hmm.
um, where adults that are over 21 dress up as Santa, and you basically just like it's like you show up at a certain bar at a certain time, and everyone is dressed up like Santa, and then you just
Yeah.
like bar crawl. And so
Oh, okay.
yeah. So, and I've never done it, but she's done it and she said it was super fun. But she was like trying to cross the street and the guy was in the car and he was like, go ahead. But there was a cop there and basically she jaywalked, even though the car, like person in the
Very
car was like, go
interesting.
ahead. And so like on her little on the ticket, she wrote she drew like this nice little like cartoon of like her dressed as Santa and the guy saying after you, Santa, and like sent it into the cop. And she got charged the full amount. But like when I let
Wow.
people go now in my brain, I'm always like, after you, Santa.
Yeah, yeah,
It's weird. But I want to back up to your crack,
yeah.
CRAIC, not CRAP.
Hmm.
Um, you texted me the other day and you
Hmm.
were like, I'm on island time, aka at the pub.
Yes.
And I died laughing. But I also wanted to know
Hmm.
like what is it like going to the pub? Is it like where everyone's at and it's like you would are immediately like welcomed in?
That depends. Like, so I guess probably the more traditional idea of what a pub is would have been like that. And, there's an idea of people like local bars where, it would have been like that and you would know everybody
Mm-hmm.
that was there and
Mm-hmm.
there would be regulars that you would recognize and stuff. But pubs these days, I mean, like you certainly may run into people that you know, but it's not too dissimilar, I would say, to like
An
an
American
American
bar.
bar, and like there's places to go to, and you just kind of like, I mean, like, certainly when we were meeting the other night, it was a get together, sort of a Christmas get together, so it was in Belfast, so it's a bigger place, there's less likely to know people, so we were kind of together, but. I think that there is certainly, and I've seen this in the US too. Like, you sometimes get a bit of chat from people that are sitting next to you, especially once drinks are flowing,
Mm-hmm.
and like as those nights go on, it can get a bit, crazier in that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, certainly on a Friday and Saturday night, pubs are a stepping stone. People go to the pubs, they have a few drinks there, and then they go on to either, in this case, a Christmas dinner or like a club or something like that, because we were
Gotcha.
like, the pub we were in, there's a club type place above it. And I'd say by about 8:30 or so, there was a big line to get into there then. So yeah, it's a stepping stone.
Gotcha. I just have this like
Whimsical.
fantasy, yeah, um like a
Like,
Ted Lasso bar kind of
sure.
thing. Yeah.
And that they exist, and I mean, like, there's definitely pubs in my town that exist.
Mhm.
Like, there's a whole, there's a whole litany of stuff and political stuff and certain bars that only allow certain type of people in, and that sort of thing. I mean, it's not really as bad as it used to be, but like, and it's only through other people's eyes that I kind of saw that certain pubs in my hometown wouldn't necessarily be welcoming of friends from different backgrounds and things like that. As I
Interesting.
say, I think it's a bit better now, but I couldn't say for sure. And there's still various places that I wouldn't cross the doorway because I just wouldn't be welcome there. I mean, like, I have like a top knot, as you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, who's this
That means
poser?
top knot is man bun.
Man bun, yeah, 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 exactly. So it's like it's gonna be like, who's this? I mean, and I've got that. I think when I was working recently, when I was still working at the supermarket, I think this is what he said to me. Like, I turned around and the guy goes, "Huh, I thought you'd be a girl. Girls don't have beards." And I didn't quite. I think that's what I heard from him, but I wasn't quite sure. And I was just like, right, I just walked off. Because I'm
You're
just
like,
like,
I'm not getting into this.
I'm just not going to engage with whatever shit you're saying. I mean, he may have been saying something else, but that's how it hit my ear, you know. Um,
That yeah, that sounds like he's
a real cool
he
guy,
could
you
he
know.
could use a hug.
Yeah, 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 yeah. A real modern dude.
A little a little soft
Yeah.
peace
No, he would,
bomb.
but he wouldn't. He would reject the hug. He'd push away. Get off me!
Mm.
I don't need hugs. I'm made of stone. Probably this quasi-fictional guy.
I've got my man card.
Exactly.
I heard someone say that the other day, and I was like, "Is that a thing?" Like,
Really?
I don't want to lose my man card. And I was like,
Ugh, Liam.
yeah,
If there is
right.
a man card to lose, I've lost mine many, many times. And I'm kind of happy it's lost, to be perfectly
I
honest
think
with
I
you.
just collect them, not like
Mm-mm.
men, but like I'm just more of I'm not I'm a more this is like
Uh-huh.
super far out there, but like I had my Akashic records read once,
Hmm. What's
and I was
that?
it's basically like your past all your past lives. They go
Okay.
in and they find out not just like, oh, you were, royalty or whatever. It was like you were this person, this
Okay.
was your family, like it goes way, way deep. And I think mine was like 5 lifetimes, which means that my soul hasn't been around for very long,
Okay.
apparently, which but I was a gay man 3 times.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
I mean, actually, probably
So
not so nice if you think like how gay men were treated
well,
historically.
yeah, yes,
It's probably
yes,
a
that
tough
was uh-huh.
road.
And so
Yeah.
like each time like my living experience was very, very different. Like one time I was married to a woman, one time like
Yeah.
I was, like but like having affairs and like I don't know why I went here, but yeah.
It's an
So
interesting one. I like it.
I have I'm just and then I think I told Alexa this and she's like, this makes so much sense. I was like, I know. What?
It's yeah, I'm kind of curious. I kind of quite like to do something like that.
It was really cool.
Should
I
look
had it
into
done
it.
by like a medicine woman in Mexico.
Okay. Yeah, we should look
Yep.
into that. We should do that for the
Yep.
pod.
All
But
right.
anyway,
It was $500
oh really?
US. Yeah. I
Maybe I
didn't
should
know it
start
was going to
doing
be
them.
that expensive.
I was
Yep.
no, I'm not gonna go into that either. Okay.
Okay.
So
We have so
we're
much to
just gonna
talk
we've got
about.
so much to talk about, so let's move on. So Beth,
Okay.
before
Okay.
we get on to the subject of our episode, I'm gonna ask you what's occurring.
So we're still getting feedback on episode 7, emotional health. One of our friends and listeners sent us some she's done, I will say, a lot of work on herself.
Yeah,
And I'm just impressed with where she is at in her life, just given the things that she's gone through, and how positive she is,
it's true.
and how what a helper she is, and how she really does care. Um, so
Yes,
she
she
sent
really
us
does.
some good book titles. They're already on the website, or they will be tonight once I post the episode. But here's some titles for anyone that might be struggling with emotional or mental health, and you kind of need a nudge in a direction. The titles are, the first one is The Body Keeps Score.
Yeah,
The second
it's
one is
great.
The Untethered Soul and the Heart-Minded. Oh, The Untethered Soul. And the third is The Heart-Minded, How to Hold Yourself and Others in Love. So the audio, like these books are well known. I think you've read The
I've read
Body.
Body Keeps the Score. Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
It's really excellent.
Yeah, so audio, Kindle, or paper form. I'm gonna start on The Body Keeps Score because
Yeah, it rules. I think you'll really find a lot
it
in there.
rules.
It does rule.
Yeah.
It rules.
So that's up on the website, and
Do,
we
do you
recommend.
do you know it? Like she texted both of us, and she included the wrong Beth initially, and we had like we
Yeah.
were having a love in, and she was like, "Wait a minute, Beth, this isn't the right Beth."
And this is the right Beth.
That's funny.
Sorry, other Beth.
Yeah, sorry, there, Beth. We love you
Taking all that love
too.
for myself.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
But yeah, that's what's occurring.
nice. Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I think okay, do we I'm about to move on to our segment, but I don't know if I've got a name for our segment this week.
Oh yeah, I do.
You do?
I
Okay,
do.
Beth, I'll let you lead
And
off
then I
with it
already
then.
have a question about it.
Okay, go for it. Do you want to lead us into
So
it?
are welcome to episode 12, the
Hmm.
Barney New Year.
Ooh, I like it.
And I just Googled like Ireland New Year slang and it came
Hmm.
up with the word Barney.
I
And then
like
I
it.
forgot to look about what that actually means. So, what does Barney
Oh
New Year
no,
mean?
yeah, you're gonna do this to me. Uh,
Reach into your not Google brain. What's it called? Your mind palace?
my mom palace.
Your mind garden?
I think right. I'm aware of Barney, so it's kind of a party.
Yes, it's like a super fun riot
The
party.
rowdy party.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it can also
rowdy.
be like a fight. Like a Barney is an old kind of term for a slang for like a
Hmm.
fight as well, but like it's
Hmm.
more like a lighthearted sort of term for so if it's like I guess a comedy movie you would talk about guys having like fisticuffs, having a Barney.
Okay. Okay.
But
So yes.
yeah, I
So
like it.
Barney New Year. Here, I'm aging myself. I think of giant purple dinosaur.
Yes. Or
or,
Barney Rubble as well.
or Barney Rebel. Oh
Which is
wow.
also
Now
aging
we're
us. Yeah.
really yeah.
I think that
So
part. Mhm.
yeah, I think we could do a cartoon episode.
Oh, yeah, now we're talking. Okay.
So yeah, so we wanted to talk about the new year, and what that means in your country
Hmm.
and what that means in the United States and how people celebrate and why do we celebrate and resolutions and all those kinds of things.
Yep.
I have history for
Yep.
everyone. So the earliest known record of a New Year's festival dates about 2000 BCE in Mesopotamia.
Ooh.
Um, and it began with the new moon after this. Yeah, basically, what a party that must have been.
Yeah. Remind me where
What a Barney Mesopotamian party that must have been.
Remind me, Mesopotamia is south. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It's not. Mesopotamia is um in the Arabic sort of region right
I
there, I
don't
think.
know.
Okay,
Listeners, tell us where it's.
I
I
think
feel like it's. Why do I want to say it's South America also? But I don't think that's right.
I
It
think it
is.
might be. I think it might be. So like,
Yeah,
West Asia sort of
it's
thing.
not in that. The information is not in our mind palace. Sorry,
Yes, you're right.
everyone.
It's right. It's
But
true. So
now you
please.
know how long this thing has been happening
Wow.
and who
Okay.
started it. So, yeah, let's dig into this.
Let's dig
So
into it.
I just want to first off say, I don't know if you hear this or if you say this to yourself, but like around this time of year, I always hear people say like, I can't wait for this year to be over. I can't
Yes.
wait for 2021 to be
Yes.
over, or 2020. I can't wait for this year to be over. And like, rather than doing any like self-reflection or like, wow, I'm grateful that this happened this
Yeah.
year, it's always like seen as like, I can't wait to shut the door on this thing, right? And granted, with COVID and like the pandemic, that meant something.
Yep. It's true.
But
It's an interesting point because it's like it's something and I have one of the sort of most valuable things I've learned from like therapy and whatnot and talking to people is that rather than thinking about it in those ways, think about something you're moving towards because like if it's always like, oh, this year's awful or I need to get out of this year, it's absolutely a negative mind space to be regardless of whether it's a turning point of a new year, just heading into something going, that was crap, and that's your motivation for moving on, rather than
yeah,
going, well, what can we change? What can I look forward to in the new year?
yeah, I agree. So I have some questions for you.
Mm-hmm. Hit me.
We're gonna do some reflecting. Is that okay?
Oh no.
what
Okay. Uh-huh. I mean,
were we just what were
yay.
we just talking about exactly? Yeah, like, oh no.
My favorite.
um so what is one skill that you've learned this year that you're happy about, or maybe not happy? No, let's go with
That's
happy.
a good question. Like I think like I am pretty good at like, throwing myself into things and figuring out new stuff. I mean like certainly in recent memory, um I have learned a lot about sound editing and video editing and things like that, which are skills that I've been trying to pick up anyway. So having an excuse to do that has been magic and has been, yeah, really great. Getting Definitely getting better with that. Still room for improvement, but I definitely feel a lot more confident with it.
You're getting like people are like, that episode sounded like crap.
Yeah. I don't want to hear it, all
No.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
What
That
a,
I would agree with that. I it's like some things I didn't really want to know how to do either, but
yeah.
it just kind of happens. I'm gonna say um that it's not necessarily a skill, but like I'm living bigger
Yeah. That makes sense.
and I'm like really stepping into myself more.
Yep.
And I'm really working hard. I've been working hard on like being okay with who I am now and not like trying to harken back to the person that I was in the past.
That's
And
yeah. Very
it
difficult.
takes it takes a lot of work
It does.
and weekly therapy and sometimes medication.
Yep.
But I would say that like I'm finally in a place, especially after being sick, like I'm okay with the fact that like I'm not gonna ever be the same. And my, I am more limited in certain ways, but because of that, like I've had to exercise all these other muscles that I didn't know I had or
Yeah.
that existed. And I'm finding that it's been um it's like I'm a caterpillar that's becoming a
I love it.
butterfly.
That's a good way of looking
So
at it.
yeah, so that's
No, I think that's
okay.
nice. I know I know just I really think that's interesting. I think that's like and I think that's hard. Because as you were saying it, I was kind of thinking to myself whether I really do that. And I don't think I've ever sort of wanted to return to a version of myself I was before. I think like in recent years, like getting into my 40s and stuff like that, I'm definitely starting to notice being older and like the difference that makes. But like, I'm kind of okay with that. Like, for the most part, I am anyway. And I am like in that regard pretty blessed with my genes. Like I have like a full head of hair, which not all guys in their 40s can say. I mean, like, yes, my forehead gets larger every as the years go past. My hairline retreats further up my head, but I'm okay with that. And also like because I think I have made the effort, and especially with yoga in the past, 5, 6 plus years, it's really helped me kind of like I'm really happy with what my body can do these days compared to like how it was longer than that. I think I said to you before, maybe what, like 10, 15 years ago. I remember just being fat. Like I was never massively fat because I was just like quite like walking and stuff. But thinking I'm just not going to be fit. I'm just going to be a fat guy now, and that's just my lot in life. Essentially, I'm being quite kind of miserable about it. So I
Mhm.
think if I think about that and I think about where I am now, I'm pretty happy with the changes that I've made.
Yeah, and I would say another like skill that you've learned this year is how to perfect popcorn.
That's true. And that's a very worthwhile skill. Like, the funny thing, a few years ago, I think I really cracked cooking meat properly, and then I just decided I wasn't going to eat meat anymore. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh well.
Yeah,
But no
don't do
big
that with
whoop.
popcorn.
No, I won't. I will never.
Not giving it up.
It's very
Never.
easy to make a vegan, so yeah, I will never walk away.
Okay. Um, what's one experience this year that meant a lot to you?
Ooh. Um Like certainly, the immediate things that spring to mind are our trip to Portugal, which is incredible. It was so lovely to seeing you all, and it was just such a kind of lovely environment to be in. That has really meant a lot to me. I also had like a really nice festival experience near the start of the summer that was really incredible. It's just one of my kind of all-time sort of favorite festival experiences. Um, those are the two that immediately kind of spring to mind. But yeah, I'm gonna think about that a bit more. Do you have any?
Um, I I think Portugal, and I
Yeah.
think our friend Leah and her partner gifting us that surf lesson
Yes.
was so epic. It's like, you know me, and I love free things. And
Yes.
if it's not free, I probably won't do it.
Yeah.
um, and it was just like she was like, oh yeah, we're gonna take you out. And I was upset with what my body couldn't do, but
Yeah.
at the same time I'm like, but it's still trying so hard, right?
Yes.
And like I didn't get
Absolutely.
all the way up, but I got up on like,
Yeah, me neither.
three
Yeah,
of my four
me
extremities.
too.
And I think just like jumping in to that trip, and I think we were all like, are we gonna like, I think you and I are always like, am I gonna sleep tonight, like how's it
Yes.
gonna go? But it was just, I can't tell you enough, or like the people that went on that trip enough, like how much of a life-changing experience that was for
Yeah.
me. Probably one of the top 5 best trips I've ever had.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was like it's interesting you say about the sleep thing as well, because it's like remember worrying about sleep, and I really didn't have a problem sleeping at all. And I think it was just because of the environment I was in. Do you know what I mean? It was
Mm.
just like we're having full days, and then it was just like nice to sleep, and then more fun. It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Yeah. And like it was just like one giant love bomb
It
week
was.
of a week
It
where,
was
we just we all really opened up and shared. And at least for me, like there was a lot of healing that happened, and I'm just so
definitely.
grateful.
Yeah, no,
So
it was awesome.
I just want to throw that out there to
Hmm.
Alexa that it's time to start thinking about our next trip. And Leah, plan your freaking wedding so we know when we're
Oh
coming.
yeah, that's true. That'll be awesome.
um okay. Did anything else come to mind for you?
No, I was just too busy thinking about Portugal and stuff like that, so
Yeah, and all the
nothing else
food.
has occurred to me. Yeah.
um okay. One thing you would have done differently.
Um, I think,
When
I mean, like, I certainly think, and again, because this is in recent memory, I think certainly in terms of setting up the choir that I'm running currently, I would have got more people on board more quickly,
Mhm.
um, to like, help sort of run things.
Yeah.
And there's reasons why that was difficult anyway, but I think like I like to say it's a lesson I will learn for future things, but I won't, because like it's how I operate. I'm
I was
terrible
gonna
at asking for
say
help, and
it's a part of who you are.
it is. And and at the same time, like, as you know what, as much as like I am down on myself a lot, I also know that I'm relatively competent, and like I can do stuff, and I can turn my hands to things. So like I like I know that I'm also pretty detail, oriented, and good with people, much to my chagrin. But I'm a good combo for that sort of stuff, but I'm also like very prone to burnout. I know that I am. Like I always do it. So like I think I just need to be more vigilant about burnout and me kind of doing things that get me to that point.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think I would have liked to have less screen time
Yeah,
and
I
like
hear
spent
that.
more time. I always say like I'm gonna read a book, I'm gonna take a walk, I'm gonna in like I do the as I'm not doing enough real life stuff.
Yeah,
And um I'd like I feel daily guilt about that, I think. Like I'm
yeah,
choosing to do this instead of that, or like I could sit outside and do that, but I don't because it's with the Santa Ana winds are blowing around right now, so it's
yeah.
kind of impossible. Um
I know what
like
you
it
mean.
yeah,
Like
I'm disappointed in myself there.
I think though it's a curse of like being alive in this age. You know what I mean? Like it's almost impossible. I think we've talked about a little bit before. Like I still hate, if I could not have a phone, I would. But unfortunately, it is part of the social contract. If you're going to exist in this day and age, you need a phone. I mean, unless
Yeah.
you're going completely off the grid and doing all the shit that involves, you just have to have a phone. And
Yeah.
I kind of resent that. Like whenever phones first, this is how old we are, folks, right? This is whenever mobile phones became a mass market thing. I resisted for years, like for at least 2 or 3 years after everybody else had one, because I just hated the idea of like people being able to contact me all the time. It's like, why do you need to contact me all the time? And I find this device that's in your pocket that can like at any instant bring you devastating, oh, happy news sometimes as well, but like can bring you like really intense stuff is just, I don't know. It feels like a very dangerous thing that we all sort of have and are just take for granted.
I would definitely agree with that. I had to have a phone. I think I got like I've had a cell phone since middle school, so that
Uh-huh.
would be grades like grade six.
Yep.
And we weren't allowed to have cell phones in our school. This is dating
Yep.
myself again. We weren't allowed. It was like, and I think that's starting to happen again here. But I had to
Yeah.
hide it in my backpack. But my dad was like, I want to be able to like, if you're in trouble for any reason, like I want you to have be able to call me. And that was like that was the social contract at that
Yeah.
point. And that was just like there was no texting. It was just
And
a cell phone,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But then when I got the job at the college, I had to be on call 24 hours a day.
Yeah, that's
And
mad.
I did that
That's
for
I've
10
done that.
years.
Oh, 10 years. I've done a little
And it
bit of
was a
on-call stuff.
walkie-talkie phone. So it was like you couldn't not pick it up, right? Because like
Yeah.
someone would call you and be like, hey, what's going on with this? Or we need that, or like something really bad's happened.
Yeah.
The chapel's on fire. I'm like, okay.
It's that's the 10 years is a lot. That's just for
Hmm.
that to live hovering over you for that long. It's just grim. Like
Hmm.
I now, I mean, like my phone is never, basically never off do not disturb, and people think that's insane. But I just
Mine is
can't.
I do the same thing. I
I just
like for
don't.
WhatsApp,
Yeah.
so you and I can connect,
Yeah.
and then Mike.
Yeah.
That's it. And the
Like
rest of the time
exactly.
it's do not disturb. So I don't get notifications for
Yeah.
anything because I don't want to know.
No, nor do I. I mean, I'll check it in my own time. So like, and it's why I like keep my phone out of my room. Or
Mhm.
like it charges in a different room because because I remember like waking up and like looking at my phone and like especially in certain circumstances like in past relationships and stuff like that, it was very rough. It's particularly talking about my ex in Australia and stuff like that because of the different time zones it was
Right.
you'd wake up and you'd be checking and you'd either not have received something or you would have received something. And it was immediately like your day was, I don't know, potentially completely detonated before it had even started, and
Hmm.
it's rough.
I sleep with my phone.
Yeah, if you can, I know but you've got kids, which is a different thing. But if you can, if there's any way you can like charge it in a different room, I recommend giving it a go because it really has helped me.
Yeah, I use it for an alarm, but I could just
Yeah,
use an alarm.
I'll
And then
go.
if I wake up in the middle of the night, I
Yeah.
read advice columns. They put
Oh,
me to
nice.
sleep. So like, which I know is I get it, right? I've done all the sleep studies. I know
Sure.
that I'm not supposed to be like looking at that and that's going to wake me up even more. But the reality is like I just, I have to take more sleep drugs and go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Um and it takes like 30 minutes for
Yeah.
that to happen. I don't want to lay there and ruminate. So I read other people's problems and then I'm like, oh, okay, I can fall back asleep. So
I am actually addicted to those sorts of things as well. Like I love there's a Dig does like a sort of aggregator every sort of Monday with like the best sort of stories from each like from advice columns across the internet. And some of them are so wild to me. I read a guy today who because they come out on a Monday and he was outraged that at birthday parties people refused cake and the indignity of it, right? And he's like, if you want cake, just take the cake and dispose of it later. It's ridiculous that people refuse cake at a party. The cake has been made for everybody. Everybody must take a slice of cake. And I was like, whoa. And like, in fairness, the person was like, look, people can say no to a piece of cake. It's fine. What are you talking about, you maniac?
like, what
Uh,
if I can't eat the gluten? I can't eat the cake.
Exactly.
It'll give
So
me the shits.
for so many reasons. But like he thought
Wow.
that was because this was to Miss Manners, which is one of the advice kind of.
Uh-huh.
So it was to Miss Manners. And she was like, no. I said, and no is complete. No, thank you is very polite and completely fine in basically all circumstances.
That's
Wild.
so funny. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Like of all the things to be like upset about.
It always kind of cracks me up, and I'm like, all right, I am at least relatively sane,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
but anyway,
Okay.
Right. Yes, we're getting off track.
Okay. What are the things you're most grateful that happened this year? I guess it's kind of like the other question, but
Um,
not. Go more in depth.
go
Get in there.
go more in depth. What are the things
What
that
are like things? What things happen that you're just like most grateful for?
like I'm always grateful to make like new friends. And I'm always kind of grateful to like and it's always surprising to me as well. I think I've said this to you before. Like I'm always kind of like, whoa, wait, you kind of want to add me on Instagram, or you want to like, you want to like, or you've sent me an email after I like, there's been people I've worked with in recent times, and they've like reached out to me and been like, oh, how you doing, or asked about what's happening, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
What? Or whenever I was leaving, we're like, got me a leaving gift, or like, we're like, why are you leaving? Like upset with me? And I'm like, really? And it always like touches me and surprises me. So it's always lovely. And I think that like, um, I regard like I just can't stop. I can't help myself like picking up new sort of friends, which is I'm very lucky, very, very lucky in that regards. But I'm
Mhm.
always, always grateful for it.
Mhm. So sometimes it's like we're wonder twinning.
Yeah.
I put on mine meeting new friends and connecting with old friends.
Whoa.
And
Hell
in
yeah.
Portugal was also on mine. So the mind meld,
It
right?
is.
Yeah. So because I'm in a new place, you know, I guess maybe it's like dating where it's just hard to meet people and like why the pickup line is so important to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But like now I'm in a place where I know and like we can go places and I'll know people.
Yeah. That's
And
awesome.
like we went to the park the other day and they had like a craft fair that I didn't know was happening and everyone was like, "Oh, hi." And I was like, "So nice."
Yes, it is.
It is nice. And one of the things that I was working on, I think I talked about this a month ago or so, but
Hmm.
was really just trying to like reconnect with old friends and be a better friend. And that has been
Yeah.
great. So,
Yeah.
and I will also say I'm grateful for this podcast.
Yes, me too. Very much so.
Yeah. No, you don't have to
Um,
say that, but
yeah, okay, fine. Strike it from the record, please.
all
I'm only joking. I'm joking.
right. Um, okay, I have one more question
Okay,
and then more like generic questions
I've
about
got
like
some
your
stuff as well, so
culture.
we can go
Okay,
into
okay,
my stuff.
cool.
You finish your
Okay.
last question. I'll do
Okay.
some of my stuff, and then you go for it.
Okay. Um, is there anything else you want to reflect on
Um,
for
hmm.
this year that has happened?
I like what a
That was
noise, right?
that was quite a face too.
Yeah, it was kind of fierce too. That's one for the video, everyone. So I always kind of want to do like a sort of mental health sort of overview at the end of the year. I mean, all the time, I
Mm.
guess. Um, and like it's always kind of, ebbs and flows with me. It's always peaks and troughs. Um,
Pigs
so
and troughs.
no peaks and troughs.
Peaks and troughs.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I need
We
to.
say peaks and valleys.
Oh, okay, interesting. I think we've had this very same discussion. Anyway, right, I'll move on.
You're
Um,
welcome, everyone.
yeah, you know it. And so like that's kind of something I always kind of want to reflect on. And like it's good to like I see positive changes I've made in that direction. It's sometimes in the moment, it's very, very hard for me to see those things. But like I feel like I have taken steps in the past year that have really kind of been good for me. I think that I am like better at, boundaries and things like that and all that sort of stuff. And I sometimes need to see it through somebody else's eyes, or like somebody else says something to me and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good point. I've done a good job with that. So like, you know, it does feel like, it's, just steps on a very long path, but at least I'm making steps, which is good.
Yeah. Any step, like a tiny
Exactly.
step forward is success.
Yeah, I agreed.
That's wonderful. And I know you and I know how hard you've been working
Yeah.
and continue to work. And I will say just like seeing you at the beginning of the year and seeing you now at the end of the year, like definitely you've done a lot of work and it
Yeah,
shows.
thank
Yeah,
you.
and I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. No. We give a podcast hug there, everybody.
um, I think in terms of my reflecting, I'm just grateful to like have had another year being alive.
Yeah, I hear you.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's always like, whoa, okay, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
I made it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
did. Yes, good,
Yeah.
good. Okay. Do you wanna ask
Yeah,
any?
so my sort of stuff, and the thing I'd been thinking of was more sort of like historical stuff. So here's my first question, and you may need to do a wee bit of research into this,
Okay.
is because like so I have a few different sort of experiences with the New Year. Um, there's obviously New Year, so many different parts of the world, it's a big deal, and there's celebrations and whatnot. But I've spent time in some countries where they celebrate like Chinese New Year and things
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different sort of thing. It's more of a festival. It's more of a family. And certainly in my experience, obviously as a foreigner, I'm only going to see a little bit of this,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more of a family thing. It's more of um, it's more like a Christmassy type of thing. Again, this is again from my outsider view from seeing it, and I always quite liked that. It seemed nicer. It didn't seem that like it didn't seem to be like a friggin' bacchanal that we kind of seem to go for. It was more sort of earnest and sort of thoughtful. So I really like that. And the question I wanted to ask you was, do you know what your Chinese New Year animal is?
Oh my gosh.
I will talk about mine. This is why I wanted to ask you, and I'll talk about mine.
Yeah.
So I was born in the year of so it has three possible meanings. It's either sheep, ram, or goat.
Uh-huh.
And it's like a year of
You were
promise.
born, wait, you were born in
79.
70. So, okay, so we're the same.
Yes. So we're both, oh yes, so that's true. I thought yes,
Mm-hmm.
we are both in
Mm-hmm.
the same
Mm-hmm.
year. So we're both well, it depends what time of year, but you were born near the end of the year. So yeah, we're both good. We're both
Yeah.
sheep,
Sheep,
ram,
goat.
or goats.
Uh-huh. Let's
Um
go with ram.
yeah, ram's the
Let's
coolest
go
one.
with sheep.
I think, yeah, exactly. But I like the promise and prosperity. I thought that's quite a nice one.
Mm-hmm.
There was I don't know, I don't think it was the year she was born in. I just got it for her because she loves dogs. But there's a yoga mat company that makes the yoga mat that I had out in whenever we did our teacher training,
Uh-huh.
and they do yoga mats based around
Your
certain
zodiac
Chinese
sign.
zodiac or certain Chinese New Year's. So I got her the year of the dog one. So like on the sort of like grippy mats where your hands are supposed to go, there's like little paw prints, and like in the center of it, like there's like a little dog and stuff like that. And yeah, she was very pleased. And also it was red, which is her favorite color, so it worked out nicely.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we're trying to be better about celebrating non-traditional American holidays.
Yeah.
So like Dia de los Muertos and Chinese
Oh,
New Year,
uh-huh,
and the
uh-huh.
kids like are super excited to know that they have a zodiac that, it makes more sense to them than the astrological sign where I'm
Yeah,
like, you're a Virgo. They're like, what? And I'm like, oh, you're a monkey. And they're like,
yeah, yeah.
oh,
Sweet.
um, so they like that. But so speaking of like the that's I appreciate that you're bringing up other cultures
Yeah.
outside of the bacchanal celebrations. Like, so in Ireland, is it like it is in America, where it's like
Um,
party and then the next day you start the New Year's Day like with regret?
yes, that would be very much like it is very much a go out and get like for a hedonistic festival, and then like um not a festival, that's a hedonistic night, I guess. Go out, get drunk, and then there's a countdown at 12 o'clock, and everybody
Yeah,
goes woo, and you kiss somebody if you've got somebody to kiss,
yeah.
and then you
And
kind
then
of
you sing Old Lang Syne.
yes, yes.
Uh,
Do you sing that in the US as
mhm.
well? Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, we do. Where were you when it went from 1999 to 2000?
So that's very interesting because that is the one of the few New Year's nights that I actually remember. And it's not
Uh-huh.
because of that specific night. It's just because it was like one of these like sort of magical nights that just everything kind of fitted together. And like I also had a friend who like got sick at like 10 o'clock and went to bed. So like, it wasn't that same for everybody. But like I was living, so
Sorry.
I know. So I had just come back from that was actually a question I had from you, is if you had any memorable New Year's Eves, but
I do.
I had been I had just come back from my semester abroad, and I had just done another sort of it was into my final year of university, and I had done my first semester of that year. And I was living up in Belfast with a group of like six guys, six of us in total, which was an insane house. It was wild. There were so many stories from the house.
I was just
Like,
like so much pee around the toilet.
oh, it was gross. It was horrifying. I had it. It was one of the guys who I will shall not name, but like he was just a disgusting dude. And one day he left. One day we had a party because he cleaned his room, and that was the only time he cleaned his room the entire year.
Oh my
Insane,
gosh.
truly insane. He once left his door open, and the smell from his room stank the whole house. And he brought girls back there, staggering. But anyway, yes, who knows? So so we had New Year's there, and it was just one of these nights. So I had a lot of friends living in Belfast at that time, because we're all kind of students at the time. And I just like went out from like we just like I just went from like house to house. And like one of my friends' houses, they had like a band set up and playing in the front room. And we went and we bounced around different places. And like I think I had a phone at that stage and was just like it was really tough getting through to people, but I was just very lucky in that like I crossed paths with people, and I just went on like other wee adventures and ended up like in Belfast city center for like the fireworks and everything at 12 o'clock, and it was just such a fantastic night. It was really, really great, and just all those people I hadn't seen in years. But yes, so I was in Belfast, and it was like my most magical, most kind of special New Year's Eve for sure.
Mhm. And then all the computers malfunctioned,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. And that
then there was the apocalypse.
and now we're in the apocalypse. Yeah, and it's all got so much better.
Yeah.
What about
So,
you?
so year 2000, in the year 2000.
Hmm.
You ever watch that in Conan O'Brien?
Yes, I have. Yeah, yeah. The
Uh-huh.
far flung future,
Far, far
flung
future.
future. Yeah,
He put that weird like ball
yeah.
thing around his neck.
So good.
I was at a string cheese incident concert.
Okay, yeah. At first, I was like, huh, and I was like, oh yeah, I have heard of
So it's
that
like
name.
a jam band, and it was like at the convention center. Do you guys have convention centers?
Kind of, not
It's like a
really.
really big building with
Yeah.
like where they have like vendors and conferences.
Yes.
And so they rented the whole building, and like there was like the pillow room, and then
Wow,
there was like
wow.
the
That sounds
jellyfish
awesome.
room. It was super trippy. And then like at midnight, and also because it's a jam band, like they don't really do anything on time. So I'm like looking at my watch. I'm like, it's midnight. Like, when are they going to do the countdown?
Yeah.
45 minutes later, they got to it.
I love it.
But what they did, um, and like my best friend was living in Mississippi, and she was like, I'm flying back and we're going to do this together. And I was like, great. Um, but what they did was they had all these like, they made giant paper mache like float thingies that people had on sticks.
Yes.
And it was
Hmm.
basically like the dawn of time, and like monkeys that turned into Neander. It was like the history of the world,
Ooh,
basically. And then so
wow.
we're all like dancing, and they're like all these like puppets are everywhere, and it was super fun. It was a really
That
good
sounds
time.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was that Oregon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, no, because like so I don't we I think we do have convention centers. We even have like a oh, it's confusing. There is one in Belfast, but it's kind of confusing. It's kind of one of those like freestanding rigid tent type things. It's
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
it's insane.
Uh-huh.
But like the one my convention center memory, or the thing that I connect with that is the board game convention thing that I go to
Yeah,
that
yeah,
like
totally.
in Germany that like has like a quarter of a million people at it or whatever. It's
Yes,
insane. Yeah.
yes.
Um,
So just imagine a bunch of smelly hippies and like everyone's burning patchouli.
I mean, it's not better or is that worse than mine? I mean, it's up there.
I don't know. I
There's
don't know.
there's surely a smelly people crossover for sure.
um, and then my most memorable New Year's Eve was we had flown back from South Africa to Paris,
Hmm.
and we were in Paris for New Year's Eve. And so like they had
Ooh,
the Eiffel Tower was like totally lit up and was like sparkling, and everyone was partying in the streets, everybody was peeing in the streets.
yeah,
Like someone like had a shopping cart full of like plastic cups and bottles of champagne and was like, here's a bottle of champagne and 2 cups. And so we're like, cool. And it was just it was just sweet and innocent
yeah,
and
it's just nice.
safe.
Hmm.
And like the whole city, it was raining, but the whole city was outside, and it was awesome. It was
That's
awesome.
lovely. I like I've definitely had um I don't know, the ones that are like my New Year's Eves that have been really kind of planned and really like this is have never been great. They've always been like, meh, just kind of like I had one in Hong Kong that was pretty nice, but like the amount of people that are in Hong Kong and like trying to get to a place because their fireworks is kind of world famous and like trying
Like
to
my
get to a
least
place.
favorite city.
Yeah, trying to get to a place. I did like it, but it's insane. But trying to get to a place where you could see the fireworks was very difficult, and we didn't really get a good view of them, which was sad. But it was an interesting place to be for New Year's, I've got to say. That was a kind of a that trip was kind of tied up with a lot of stuff anyway. That was kind of makes it kind of difficult.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was an interesting one. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, by and large, I like have been in recent years just not doing much. Like either would have a few people over or with because I had a handful of friends who like had kids and stuff like that, and like I don't have any great desire to go out New Year's Eve just because it's like it's not my vibe, not my scene really. So like we've just like played multiplayer games or like we like would play like Red Dead Redemption together and just be like riding around as cowboys whenever midnight's kind of like
That's awesome.
this is more my scene
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
I like going out and having fun and doing things. It's just New Year's all feels a wee bit too forced, you know.
I absolutely agree. And yeah, we're nonconformists.
We're not. I know, I know. Having said that, like I think I told you on a few episodes ago that I'm going to Akili this year,
Yeah,
and I'm really quite looking forward to that. I think that'll be good
yeah.
fun. I think that'll just be like some singing, some dancing. I'm up for that. I'm definitely like um I do kind of love a dance and a sing, and like I feel like in when I was younger, I would have been quite embarrassed about doing those things, and now I don't care, you
That's
know.
great.
Yes, exactly. So I just
Just
so
dance your little heart out.
oh, I plan to be
What,
have
what
the legs danced off me is the plan.
we because we have kids and they're little, like we don't do anything, but what we do is on YouTube you can do a countdown like
Hmm.
10, 9, 8, and so I just put something on. They drink Martinelli's apple cider. It's 8:30 or whatever. We're like, you're staying up so late.
Yeah,
Happy
yeah,
New
yeah, 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 yeah,
Year. So
yeah.
we just kind of cheat and do it earlier and,
They
make
can
it
get
a little bit special. But yeah, it's nothing.
yeah,
It's
like
nothing.
I don't know, like I think it's especially after Christmas, everybody feels so exhausted, and
Yeah,
like
it's true.
it feels
It's
even
true.
more forced, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's never been a big deal for me. I think I felt it should have been when I was younger, but then I was just like, I'm just not going to put pressure on it anymore.
Yeah. We'll be in Maria this year.
Nice.
And it's so sweet because I mean things are more expensive there just because it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
And so they get like 30 fireworks and like they'll shoot them up one at a time. So you'll hear like boom, boom, and then all these little voices going, "Yay!" And then
Ooh.
another one goes up and you hear,
Ah.
yes, it's so sweet. It's so sweet. And then they eat oysters again, just like they'd done at Christmas. So is New Year's Eve or New Year's Day like more important in Ireland?
Probably New Year's Eve. Like, I don't know that there's anything specific to New Year's Day. Like, I mean, it would be a day for me sometimes to like, I mean, it's often the day of recovery, right? For a lot of
Yeah,
people in this country.
yeah.
So, but I like, I recall kind of maybe going on walks and stuff like that on New Year's Day, and I would, quite enjoy that. But all too often it's like people feeling sorry for themselves, and like
Hmm.
nursing a hangover.
Hmm. It's the same here,
Yeah,
which is a shame. And I was
it
thinking
is.
like, how could I do it differently? And like, would I want to do it differently? And like, uh, we
I,
can I we can go into that a little bit, but
yeah, it's like I don't know. It's tough because it's like it feels like it's another one of these things that like it feels like it has power over you, because it's like you must have it must be this way. It's like so many of those other traditional type things where it's like we must do this because it's tradition. It's not like, well, why? It's not really
yeah,
good for anyone. It seems like a
right.
lot of people don't enjoy it. Do we need to do
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Um,
So how do you feel about New Year's
yeah,
resolutions?
that's the thing. I think that's exactly what we need to get on to. I think they're bullshit. Like, I think that the problem with them all too often is it says that you must do something at a certain time. Whereas my feeling on a lot of that stuff, and it has taken me certainly a long time to break out of this cycle as well, is that like if you want to try to do something, just do it. Just try to do it. Like in small increments would be my recommendation rather than going full bore into something, take it a bit at a time, but just be like, oh, you know what, I've got half an hour today, or I've got 5 minutes today. Let's just see what I can do with this. Um, because like, the first steps are always hard, but I think when we limit ourselves to like, you know, once every 12 months, it's way worse.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I would also agree that they're bullshit. And it's like the amount of pressure people put on themselves
Yes.
on this one day, and then if they don't succeed, then it's just like it's self-defeating,
Yeah,
right? Automatically. And like I'm
exactly.
curious, listeners, if any of you have actually like made a resolution and stuck with it and it was like the best thing ever, like those are the stories I like to hear.
Yeah.
Um, but I like I think, and I'm not trying to sound like a giant hippie, but I think more of like, what do I want to manifest this year
Yeah.
in my life in general? And not like, what do I want to lose weight or want to get more exercise or like blah, blah, blah. Like, what do I think bigger than
Yeah.
that? I think like, I want to um, put more words on paper. I want
Yes.
to spend more time with, like it's in certain circles you call it planting seeds,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like what seeds do you want to plant in the winter that will then start to grow in the spring, and I think of it more in that regard
Yeah.
of sort of like a plant
Yeah.
and then harvest it and then
I
try something else.
I think, as well, all too often they are like there's very sort of concrete or like specific outcomes people are looking for. And I think those are really dangerous too, because life gets in the way and who knows what obstacles you'll come across, but like I think, being on the path, and that's again, once again, another thing that I really find it hard to kind of get past is that like, doing things for the joy of doing them, doing things not rather than because like I've been trying to do some writing stuff over a variety of different writing projects over the past few years now, and most of them haven't went anywhere, as in like I haven't, got them published or put them out there, but every single page I write, every word I write is experience that's going to help me write better in the future. And like that attitude and that shift within me has been a massive help, and I think that which is why I kind of shy away from specific resolutions. I'm just making a change one day at a time, sort of thing, in small
Hmm.
incremental ways.
Hmm. And I think that's I wish that you know because I'm already starting to get like promotions, like New Year's resolution, da da da,
Yeah.
in my junk mail.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, it's not realistic. It's now they're monetizing it
Yes. This is the
like they do
problem.
everything
Yeah.
else,
Hmm.
right? And so yeah, I think just doing what you were saying, and one little step at a time
Yeah.
towards something bigger. Um, and you never know how it's going to grow, right?
Yeah. And like it just seems that there's a I was talking to a friend about this the other day, and I mean, like like I feel like years ago, I mean, it was quite a few years ago. I mean, I think you know, this man, the show Mad Men,
Mhm.
and the time it was set, and like it was around that sort of time that they kind of discovered that unhappy people buy more things. and and to me, really collectively as a species, we should have went, right, okay, we must never use this knowledge, because what a horrifying way to think about things. But
Right.
instead, it's just, let's see how far we can push this. It's like,
Yeah.
let's amp it up to max. And like, New Year's is such a New Year's resolutions are then an easy thing to prey upon, like especially when it comes to like gym memberships or things like that, where it's like, oh, make a New Year's resolution, buy a 6 month pass for blah blah blah, and it's like, it's really grim, and yeah, that's it. And I think that probably ties into my negative feelings towards New Year's resolutions as well, because they have become such a way to like extract cash from people.
Hmm. I sometimes will make a list of like things I want to do, places I want to travel,
Yeah,
like, and I just kind of put it out there in the ether, and I'm
yeah,
like, maybe this will come my way, right?
exactly.
And so yeah, make a not to tell you to make more lists, Andy,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, my list of lists.
your list of lists, but like your dream list,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it's, and it's so like, I mean, like, year by year, like I do so many I had a fun life, and I always, every year there's something wonderful in there, and um I think that's pretty great. And I think as long as, I'm keeping doing that, and I'm keeping kind of trying to create those things.
Another thing I do is I make a book of all of the thousands of photos I've taken,
That's a good idea.
because smartphones, and then I give the book to the kids for Christmas, but it's a good
Nice
way for me to
idea.
like really be like, oh my God, that happened. Oh my God, that happened.
Yeah.
And it's I don't recommend that everybody do that unless like you really want to have a book for every year of your life, but
It's a
it's
nice
fun for
idea.
them. Yeah.
Like,
And it
because
takes like they have programs that you just like drop all the photos and they just
yeah,
automatically put them in, and it's great.
there's something
And
like
the
so.
kids love them.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, and like, and it'll be a nice artifact. Like, I mean, because I loved whenever we did our episode in childhood. It was so nice looking through all pictures and stuff, and it's absolutely something that's missing from like big swathes of my life. And I think for so many people is that you want to have those physical things, and like all it
Yeah.
takes for like, I mean, obviously there's redundancies and blah blah blah, but like all it takes is for a server to go down or for Google to go out of business, and like, literally thousands, hundreds of thousands of years of people's memories are just gone.
Gone.
It's very scary.
What was that movie that just came out on Netflix about the end of the world?
Oh,
Oh, um, talk, and I'm gonna look in my
okay,
mind
okay.
for
So, I what was I talking about? Oh no, you're asking me to vamp, and I'm stumbling. Yeah.
Sorry.
So, I
That was my
guess the
mind.
other
Could you
thing.
hear that?
Yes, your mind garden. You got your mind.
Oh no, you're
I've
okay.
got my mind palace.
Anyways, there's
Yes.
Leave the World Behind.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Leave the World Behind. And it's all about the end of the world and like what happens if all communications are down.
Yes.
And it makes me like, I watched it and I was like, I wanted to go and take a photo of my wall of CDs and DVDs and be like, ha ha ha,
Yeah. Good for
we have a
you.
generator, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, and then but they talk about like, well, I'm not going to give the movie away, but there was a really good scene where like all these self-driving Teslas just like run into each other. And
Nice.
it
Uh,
felt pretty good to watch.
yeah. Like, I think I wonder what that'd be like. Would that movie be kind of aspirational to me? I'd be like, yeah, like
I don't know,
popping a Hawaiian
maybe.
shirt on, but a big straw hat. It's like, yeah, this is the dream right here. Um, yeah, that's
Definitely that for the people that are you know, have bunkers in their
it's true.
houses, the
It's true.
preppers.
Yeah, that's true. It's fun. This is gonna be another tangent, and then I think we need to wrap things up. But
Yeah,
like,
I know.
isn't it funny how like people like that maybe like 20, 30 years ago were seen as like lovable cooks? I think of like, do you remember like the movie Tremors?
Oh, I watch it like 3 times a year.
So good. And like
It's so good.
the
We
guys in the
just
bunker,
watched it.
it's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
Like it's the
yeah.
guys in
With
the
the
bunker are
elephant
like,
gun.
yeah, they're like, are they're cooks, but they're but they're like lovable cooks. And now it's like, oh no, they're legitimately scary people. It's like, oh no. Oh dear. Oh, so the
Yeah,
world turns.
we showed Tremors to the children.
How do they
I
find
was
it?
like, it's like a big worm. It's fine. They liked it. We have those kinds of boulders all over the place
I see.
here.
Uh-huh.
And so they're like, they've got their escape plan routed.
I like it.
They want to learn how to pole vault.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
And then they were like, there's because they made, I think, 5 or 6 of these.
Yeah, so I understand. I don't think I've seen, I think
Mhm.
I've only ever seen the first one.
I've seen 2 and 3. I mean, the first number one is obviously
Yes.
the best, but yeah,
What a
just it's
cast.
so great. It's so
It
great.
is.
And also the resemblance to the sandworms in Dune was not lost on
Oh
me.
yeah, that's true.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah.
New
uh
Year's
but wait,
Eve,
yeah,
New
no, sorry,
Year's.
no, I'm not. I'm
So
okay.
your
We're wrapping up.
resolution should be to watch Tremors
Yeah,
at
everybody's
least three
resolution,
times.
watch Tremors if you haven't seen it. It's awesome. It's
Uh,
a quality slice of 80s action.
so
Um,
good.
it is so good. Okay, so we're getting close to the end of our episode, Beth. So I gotta ask. I think the question is becoming less dreaded for you, more dreaded for me. And the
I
question
know.
is,
It's interesting, isn't
isn't
it?
it?
Uh-huh.
What's bringing you joy?
So I decided I'm going to start to like parcel these out because I have joy with my family. That's
Yep.
like a constant, but I need to focus more on joy for myself.
Yes. Good for you.
So, 2 joys. Mike's been gone, so I've been doing sleepovers with the kids every night. And
Nice.
it's just like so I know there will be a time where they're not going to want to sleep in bed with me anymore and
Yeah.
like read books together and, kick each other under the sheets, and
Yeah.
waking up to their sweet faces that are still asleep is like my favorite thing. And then I get my
I'm
camera out and I
sure.
take a photo like a total creep. Um,
You're lying.
I know. It's so they still love it and like,
That's great. Yeah, you're
argue
right.
whose
Just
turn
right.
is it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that, and then joy for me, it's the time of year where because I've got this like mountain behind the house that looks like like it could belong in Tremors. It's like got all these giant boulders all over it. And
Hmm.
when the sun hits it just right around 4:30, the whole mountain turns bright pink. And it is
Ooh.
so beautiful. And I was like doing dishes in the kitchen last night and looked up and I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's hard to
That
beat.
is that is pretty. So
We're getting these really
that's
kind of nice pinky, or sorry,
no, go ahead. I love a
pinky
good
orangey
sunset.
sunsets at the minute. They're just
Mhm.
really beautiful. Yeah, they're really nice. Um,
What's bringing you
dun,
joy?
dun, dun.
Da, da,
Uh,
da.
I guess, it brought me joy to see I caught up some friends for Christmas drinks. I think I said to you before I wasn't getting a chance to do as many of those this year.
Yeah.
So it was super nice to catch up with people and just be out in a bar. And like I've since then arranged for the Friday before Christmas to see some friends then as well, just because I like the buzz a little bit. I don't like too much of it, but like 2 or 3 hours is real nice to kind of be
Yeah.
around. So I'm excited for that too. But and it's going to be another media thing because it makes me like cackle with joy. Is there's a show on Apple TV called Slow Horses.
I've seen it. I have
Um,
not. I don't. I unsubscribe to Apple TV
that's
because I
fair
got
enough.
mad at Apple.
That's
Yeah.
smart. And Guy Oldman's on it, and Guy Oldman, I've never seen
I
as
love him.
holy Beth. You need to see this show. He is.
Okay.
I've never seen somebody so authentically gross on screen ever. He's like he completely like embodies it. he's got really overweight for it. He is this really kind of greasy, ill-kempt, disgusting guy, but he like runs this sort of off to the side sort of spy agency. And how he conducts himself and how he talks to people is it just makes me so happy. The whole just constantly like nearly every line that comes out of his mouth just makes me laugh so much. But I really can't recommend. Like he got into a car in one of the more recent episodes and asked the guy if he could start smoking, and the guy goes no, and he just took out a cigarette anyway and he started smoking. And then the guy really upset with him. They had this really kind of intense conversation. Then he like rolled up onto one ass cheek, let out a really big fart. And as he's leaving the car, he's like, "Oh, that was disgusting." He goes, "Do you want me to leave a cigarette with you to take the smell away?" It was just such an asshole move. And I was just like, "This guy rocks. He's incredible."
He's such a good actor. It's like
So
anybody that can
versatile.
play the weird guy in The Fifth Element and also like Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like, what?
I'm like such a like beautiful, like sexy guy in his youth, you know what I mean, as well. And like to then
Yes.
go and like he is so transformative in so many roles, you know. It's
I
like so like
can't, like, I saw some meme where it was like 10 of his roles, and I'm just like, oh my
yeah,
goodness. Like, oh my, I couldn't even. And then he was
incredible.
Commissioner Gordon
He was,
in
yeah, yeah.
Batman,
And
you know?
he's played both wartime the UK's wartime prime minister and the US's
Yeah.
wartime president. Yeah.
Uh,
Eisenhower?
maybe.
Who knows?
I can't
We'll cut
remember.
this out. We'll cut this out. We obviously know who these people are, right? But yeah.
Dad was a history professor. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
I'll just have my voice saying it in the edit later on. It'll be
Mr.
seamless.
Blank.
It'll be seamless. Nobody will notice.
All right.
All right,
Well,
folks.
any messages for our listeners?
We love you as always. We know that this
Yes.
is a transition. No, no. We know this is a time of transition, and they are always difficult. But we love you, and we've got
Yeah.
your back, and
Yeah.
it's fine. Just try and relax. It's fine.
One foot in front of the other, one day at a time.
Exactly, exactly. That's all any of us can do, really.
Yeah. Okay.
We would like to remind you to stay
Stay
bendy.
Bendy. I think,
Yeah.
is this like you're
Woo,
trying to out
woo.
Bendy me?
It's like me
Is
doing
that
an
what we're
album.
doing?
Yeah, it is, it is, it is.
It's like who can say it the longest? Because like I'm gonna start practicing. I'm gonna go get a rock and jump in the pool and like start like holding my breath as long as I
That's
can.
our next competition. Who can do the longest bendy? It's on. All right,
Bye,
bye.
bye, bye.
Love it. That was good.
Okay, it was good.